Hi, welcome back to Black Book Stacks. I'm your host, Hoshonda Sanders. Welcome back. Thank you for all your likes, shares, and subscribes. I saw the analytics for the past month, and it looks like there's been lots of really good reception to the channel, which makes me super happy. And thank you to the subscribers who have subscribed already. But if you haven't yet and would love to get my updates, then please hit the subscription button and I think the notification bell so that you can be notified when I upload new content. This is a review of When You Were Everything by Ashley Woodfolk. I got the ARC sent to me from Delacorte Press, and it is, I think, coming out on March 10th. I got it last week. I finished it a couple of days ago, and I was really moved by it. I wanted to just dedicate some time to talking about it because it is the story of two friends, Cleo and Layla. It's based in New York, and essentially Cleo and Layla have been friends for some years, and they've been through some really challenging, interesting things together. And Layla has a speech impediment, so that kind of impacts her confidence when the book opens. And Cleo is sort of like her rock, also into music and Shakespeare as it happens, and so they have some common overlapping interests, but really they're each other's support system. And then things start to change as they do in friendship, and Layla finds herself getting inspiration and confidence from another group of girls, the chorus girls as they're called, and Cleo's world starts to unravel a little bit at home, along with a potential love interest named Dominic Gray, who by all intents and purposes sounds like a true hottie, including it right down to his name, which is amazing. And so I'll leave it there in terms of like the plot summary. What I loved, I think I have Ashley's first book, The Beauty That Remains, which I purchased and did not finish and have not returned to. I think, this is one of those like timing issues, right? Some books just don't arrive in your life at the right time. And so I think that was one of those things, since I got distracted, but I do want to go back to it at some point. This was the opposite experience where I started reading it, and I was so... I had so many feelings. I had all the feelings like right away. I think it had to do with, I'll write about this on my blog, but my first published essay was about the complicated nature of friendships in a collection that was published about 16 years ago now, 15 and a half-ish, and it was called Secrets and Confidences, The Complicated Truth About Women's Friendships. And it was edited by Karen Ng. Shout out to Karen if you ever see this. And it was published by Still Press. And in that essay, I was writing about the complicated nature of my friendship with someone that I really loved in middle school. And Ashley does a really good job of writing about the intimacy and the nuance, and how there's almost a way in which when you break up with a friend as a woman, like how it feels almost worse than breaking up with a lover or any other person, right? Like it just feels like even in a romantic situation, like that person could not have known you in the same way, or all the things that like, I don't know, like make you happy and bring you joy in the same way that like your girls know, your friends really, it's a really special relationship. And there's actually there's a page in which she really sums it up, I thought, really beautifully. She's talking to Dominic, or Dom as she calls him, and she is trying to explain what happened with Layla. And she says, "The hurt feels so much like when my parents decided they didn't love each other anymore that I can feel a shift in my breathing. we broke up. Dom snorts. It's not like it was a relationship, he says, and I frown, annoyed at his reaction. Perhaps he doesn't know how it feels to break in this particular way, or perhaps it's different for boys, but girls cling to their friends for dear life as they wade through the rough waters of learning who they are while everything around and inside them is changing minute by minute. And aren't we all a little bit in love with our best friends? I mean, I was like, yes, I have been that chick who has been like just basically a little bit in love with all of my closest friends, because I feel like I've always felt safe with them. They're my sanctuary, they're my chosen family, you know? So yeah, I mean, and just even also the epigram, like the dedication to the book, like this is where my feelings started, where I was on the train and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna cry. To all the girls who broke my heart, losing you wounded me probably more than you know. If I hurt you just as deeply, I'm sorry, and I want you to know our friendship meant something to me. It always will. And to all the girls who feel left behind, forgotten, forsaken by a friendship that wasn't supposed to be so tenuous, by a person who wasn't supposed to be impermanent, the hurt will always be there, but it gets better, I promise. I mean, I was like, okay, I need to make some space for this book. It just so happens that there's a global pandemic, so I was like, you know what, I think I'm gonna spend some time, get into my happy place, doing the thing that I love, and read this beautiful book. And it is in fact a really beautiful book. I think even if you haven't gone through a friendship breakup, which, I mean, how many people could that actually be? Like, I feel like, you know, it is pretty normalized in our culture right now to just feel like, okay, if someone's ever been in your life, you should be in touch with them, which is not, I think, how the people before us have done it for generations. People have been out of touch with people that they grew up with because they moved, you know. I mean, I think there was maybe, I mean, I'm being pretty ahistorical right now, so let me take this back. You know, there were generations, the boomer generations, and those before the advent and popularization of cars and like mobility in our country, who stayed in one place, only kind of like communicated within sort of tight social groups, etc. But as we've all become more mobile in the world, and, you know, I mean, everything just kind of changes more rapidly, and that includes your friend groups. That's been my experience, even though this is a whole nother conversation and probably a whole nother series of books that I'm sure are being written or have been written that I just haven't read yet, but about how difficult it is to find new friends as you get older, right? Because you're outside of social networks where you would meet them, aka like school, you know, maybe at work. But, you know, people talk about like your work wife, your work husband, you know, that kind of situation. So, you know, it's just different. This is a really special, you know, your middle school, high school friends are the friends that really see you, I think, in your essence, you know, because children are still so innocent that you're still forming, and your friends really become the thing that kind of keep you grounded and remind you of parts of yourself that maybe you'd be willing to forget as you transform, all of these things. So I obviously had a really wonderful reaction to the book. I think it's a really great read. I think even for adults who have, you know, maybe had breakups and felt like, you know what, I got over it, I'm good, you will probably have a pretty potent reaction to this, which is the sign of a really well-written book. So I hope that you pick it up. If you do, I'd love to hear what you think about this and also Ashley's other work. She had a really cool story in A Phoenix First Must Burn, which I think also comes out March 10th, which is Tuesday. So yeah, pick those two up. Let me know what you think and how you feel, and always cool to interact with you about that. And I will see you again here soon, I hope. And until then, happy reading.